I just finished reading this book called What If Cat Disappeared. And it was like a 7 or 8 week hold for me to get that audiobook on Libby app. And then I have this deck called Black Cat Tarot. It's aside from the Wild Unknown, one of the ones that I just really connect with, and it activates like more of a natural intuitive flow for me. And then I was looking back at another video and I thought I enjoyed that storytelling version, so I just kind of asked this deck, like, where do the black cats go? Like, tell me a story, linking sort of to that whole book about disappearing cats. And if, I don't know, it might be a little spoiler with that book, but it kind of relates to what I've seen so far with these cards. But essentially, that guy is about to die, and the devil comes for him. And I won't give the whole details, but basically, he gives him a barter, and the barter is, if you choose something to eliminate from the world, like everyone has experienced this loss, you get one more day. Just, but like, I was just like mind boggled, like, whoa, one more day. So just, and then the catch is like the devil ends up obviously picking something that he knows will affect that guy. Like he'll feel it. Like at first he tried this chocolate, for instance, but that guy doesn't care for chocolate as much as like most people would. So, but anyways, let's go with this story and you'll kind of see the link in a way. All right. So here you see the king or queen cat, who sits very comfortably because there's so much abundant. This is the life they've known. And to the point where it's like there's no hardship, there's no challenge, there's everything you need. And sometimes what happens is you get bored, right? You kind of like, what can I do now? What should I do? Like, in struggles, you find out what you need. But in times of peace and prosperity, sometimes you don't realize the things you take for granted. And again, this relates to that story where that man was dying and then he realized he needed more time to live, time to be with family, time to experience, time to see, and so forth. Now, the other thing about this is sometimes when we have prosperity, are we taking from others? This one is about trapping others to sort of be a slave to materialism and material needs, and to trick them, to get them to do what we want. Like, if they have the skill but we don't, we can sit comfortably on our throne not doing anything while others do the work, and we're just watching and we're making them work, and we give them a small little cheese and we think they're happy and we think it's fair. And yet we have like the biggest slice of cheese wheel while we gave them a crumb. So what happens? Well, again, same to that story. One day our judgment comes and then you realize, like, what now? All right. So another thing is there's always ups and downs in life. So right now, if everything's prosperous, what do we do when things go dry, when there's a drought, when there's shortages? And I'm sorry, my hand's shaking because my stand broke. Okay, so I'm holding it essentially. So when that time comes, what does one do? Well, if you're sitting on your throne, you're like desperately waiting. It's a famine. Grow faster. I need this. I need to feed myself, my kingdom, my people. They're not going to work without the food. And I can't also, if they're not working, then I can't sell this stuff. Like, what can I do? The land's running dry. My money's running dry. And so, as many things happen, the dark night of the soul happens, and we go on this journey, but we can only go alone because only we alone can light the path of our dark night, of our journey, of what's up ahead. At some point, you realize you have to teach people how to fish. You need to learn the skill, and not just delegate from your throne and telling others what to do and how. And also, you start to realize you truly have to be kind to these people and not manipulate them. You have to, and by, I say people, but I really mean all things on earth, the animals, the birds, those in the air, those on land, those underground, those in the water, the trees, the flowers, and so many more, right? And you have to realize you have to be genuinely kind, and you will attract even more people, because then there's a trust and there's a partnership, not just a one-sided, and both side benefit, right? It's becoming more of a team. So as you can see, we are helping each other, because sometimes one of us falls and we need help. Sometimes one of us has resources and the other doesn't, and we might have different resources. One might have the money, but one might have the skills. One might have the thought, but one might have the compassion and the leadership and so forth. And so together, when we take care of each other, including we take care of Earth, we take care again of other creatures, things can go from bleak to green once again and be longer self-sustained. From there, should that day come again that there is another down, at least this time we have saved, not hoarded, not hid from the others, not, creating a shortage just to create a demand and a higher price, but we are now ready for the next challenge. And when we come again upon the judgment, that time, we can walk freely and not be afraid of death, afraid of what is in our Akashic records. And I'm starting to think that the Akashic record isn't so much a history of like what we had planned and what we had chosen. It can be. It can sort of be like budget, actual versus forecasted, and comparison. But I have recently thought that the Akashic record is more of this live book, this magic book that kind of, you see how it's kind of like magical here, where you have, it's the, some things are destined, fated, and some things are free will. And learning about astrology, I see how different astrologers can have slightly different interpretation. For the most part, it's the same, but there might be a piece that's slightly different. And maybe that piece affects you by, this one astrologer says it and that piece affects you, but not someone else. And then another astrologer says something and that piece affects someone else for whatever reason, okay? And again, that boils down to partly our mindset, our karma, which karma to me is now just more of a mirror, a mirroring back of like all that we have done and thought and felt and so forth. And it comes back in one way or another. And so after you've done this, you've developed a stronger bond with the spiritual. You've done your trust fall, you've done your challenge, they've seen you, they've seen your growth, and you can kind of leave this earth school and go back to spirit world essentially. And I've learned my lesson, I've passed the test, so to speak. But before you do, if you notice, these things have been perhaps, let's say, a little more career oriented, a little more about you, a little more about the material, about the wealth, about resources. But again, we're here for the people connection. So while we've had helping hands from coworkers, from friends, from neighbors, and so forth, there is that ultimate soulmate love too. And sometimes people do say soulmate can be a friend or a coworker or a circumstance or so forth. And most people will say it is that great love, that true one big partner agreement, so to speak. And what's funny is that horse seems angry that he's met his soulmate, or that he's asked the horse to come take me to the soulmate. And sometimes that happens because we might give, like what we've given to the other is slightly less because now we're giving more to the others. And so it's kind of like if you've had a kid and say that toddler is 2 and now you have a newborn and they were the firstborn and they were used to it being themselves, and suddenly, oh, who's this other person and why do I have to share the love? And again, there's more than enough to share. We've kind of already said there's a lot of resources, and together we can grow. And this love is a deeper, stronger love, whatever this version of soulmate is to you. I've heard the term agape, and I keep forgetting what it is, which I guess I haven't mastered that lesson. But this is giving that, more of the outro, like a true. I don't even know. I don't even know how to say this, what this love is. Because I think, though, this one person, in the other instances, the circumstances and the collective as a whole influence you. But there's something about when there's that soulmate that really changes who you are. And with it, you go through cycles together. You go through the ups and the downs, good time, bad time, challenges, fruitful times, and you're willing to trust each other. Notice the blindfold, notice that this one is lower and closer to the water and to whatever all these other potential, jagged rocks or, sharks or whatever it is. And you're trusting this one on top to be the one who's seeing and guiding in higher perspective. And that's what happens sometimes, sometimes you have the clearer way or the skills, and sometimes it's the other person. And this person will help you be the true artist, true creator that you are meant to be. This is not a small thing. It's a huge masterpiece, hours upon hours, if not days upon days, maybe months, and essentially really years, because let's say you have to go to a Le Cordon Bleu to study, or maybe you don't even have to. Maybe you're just practicing with your nonna. I don't know why I thought about Italian grandma for some reason. And maybe it's about, 3 generations of recipe and knowledge, and not even having a book, and just kind of going by tradition, by, all these little fun aspects of it. And then it's your turn to write. Yes, it could be an autobiography about your life, and maybe it's for, sometimes if you're like a celebrity and you write it and people read it, the mass. Sometimes you just write it for your own grandchildren, for your children and your grandchildren, for instance. And there is, who was it that, something Collins, J.L. Collins, I want to say. His daughter was like struggling with, like, he was good with the financial stuff, and then his daughter was struggling, and he decided to write a simple wealth, which was meant for her, but then she was like, this is too good, it has to be shared with the world, And this is about, overall, if you've noticed, from the book, from the book I mentioned, about cats disappearing, what if cats disappeared is the title, and to this black cat in this story. This is about your legacy. What do you want to leave behind that people will, quote unquote, read about or talk about? Stories can be told orally, right? Audio book, movies. Books become audio, written books become audiobooks and movies, right? And, what's your version of a happily ever after? Is it the family and the white picket fences in the house? Or again, the greater legacy of taking care of Mother Earth, teaching the other humans, the collective, the skills to also maintain Mother Earth and to develop their own skills. Are you that kind of a leader? A leader of just your household, your immediate family, a leader of a company, a greater collective leader, whatever it is, What is it that you want to be said, knock on wood, at that time, at the end? And what are you trying to write right now that leads to there? Let's assume we don't know. And what if you have, not just one day like the guy in the book did, maybe not just 1 month, maybe not just 1 year. What if it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, however long? What would you write? What's your next chapter? What are you thinking? What's your next masterpiece? Who's the next person? Who are you going to influence, and who's going to influence you, and who's going to be in your life? What's going to be in your life? What are you giving back to life?